Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate and a special interview with the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kamal Nath as the budget session gets underway. Minister, let's start with Mr. Shinde's statement. How would you characterize it? Was it an apology or an expression of regret?
Well, it's very clear, the language is that he regrets if anyone has been hurt by this. And I think drawing a fine line of distinction between regret and apology is really unnecessary, because at the end of the day, whatever statement was there was accepted by the BJP.
But you're making it very clear, even though you're not saying it in so many words, this is regret, not an apology.
Well, it is regret. That's what the word used is there. Khed hai. That means it's regret. Now, I can't change the language which was used.
The reason I ask is this. One can regret an inopportune or an indiscreet remark without apologizing. Apologizing means saying sorry. Regret is falling well short of that.
Well, I think we are just trying to bisect it and dissect it. The point is that statement is made, it's been accepted, and it's over with. So saying that it was regret or why wasn't it this, why is it not spelled correctly, I don't think is necessary.
All right, let's move on beyond the characterization. Would you accept, whether it's regret or whether it's apology, in either case, it is an embarrassing climb down for the Home Minister?
Well, he clarified that what he meant was not while he was speaking. He did use the word BJP, and he did clarify, I didn't mean any political organization. That's his statement. I didn't mean a political organization, and that's it. So I think if it has inadvertently or advertently been construed to mean that, he said, I express regret over it.
I'll tell you why this is an embarrassing climb down for the Home Minister. In 2010, his predecessor, Mr. Chidambaram, had said pretty much the same thing, but Mr. Chidambaram stood by it. Mr. Shinde had to clarify and express regret, and clearly that shows he's not of the same stature.
The difference was that Mr. Shinde used the word BJP, and Mr. Chidambaram had not used the word BJP.
So the use of the word BJP meant that Mr. Shinde had to climb down, and that's why the government couldn't defend Mr. Shinde as they defended Chidambaram.
No, it was that when he felt that the BJP was hurt and upset about it, because certainly he was not implying that the BJP has terrorist training camps. He was not implying that. There's no case against the BJP for it. He said that, well, I regret it that I said it.
There's a second reason why this is an embarrassing climb down for Mr. Shinde. Mr. Shinde had to actually show his statement to the BJP and get their clearance before he issued it. Now, many say that's not just embarrassing, that's demeaning.
I don't think, these things are always talked, that what is the language which should be used, what he can use, what they will accept. So that's, in common parlance, that's done.
Except that you know and I know, it's one thing for a man to apologize or express regret. It's another for the party concerned to say we won't accept it unless it's in language that we approve of.
No.
Mr. Shinde had to virtually get the BJP endorsing it.
I think you're going much beyond that. It was never as such, but I was there. There was a discussion and some text was worked out. Some text was discussed. And
with the BJP?
Of course, I was there. I was there. And they said, well, yeah, this is enough, and you must say this, and he said, okay. There was no kind of test, putting a comma and a full stop and all that kind of thing. That's it.
But there was a clear attempt to get the BJP's approval, and then only
because we did not want that there is a statement and they say this is not this and this is not that, and if they want something and Mr. Shinde says this is not this and this is not that. So the only way to cut it short was to discuss it and sort it out.
So did the BJP leadership actually add or change the original statement as prepared by Mr. Shinde?
There were several statements which were talked. There was no editing done by A or B. There were several statements.
There was a negotiation that went on in other words.
Well, I was there. We discussed it, that what is there, what should be there, this should be the words. Fine, that's it.
So they added, they subtracted, they got what they wanted in the end, the BJP.
It's not. You can put it this way, that Mr. Shinde got what he wanted in the end. You can put it anyway. So it depends how you want to frame it.
Let's look for a moment at what Mr. Shinde actually said in his statement. I'm going to quote, I had no intention to link terrorism with any religion. There's no basis for suggesting that terrorism could be linked with the organizations mentioned in my brief speech in Jaipur. But the truth is,
political organizations.
That is exactly what Mr. Shinde did do. So the conclusion is that either that the Home Minister doesn't know what he's saying, or he doesn't mean what he said. Neither of which are very nice conclusions.
It was not his intention to make a charge at any political party or political organization.
Except that he did.
No, he said it was not my intention.
So then, in other words, he says what he doesn't intend.
If anybody is hurt by that, I express my regret. That's it.
But you know, the conclusion is that Mr. Shinde says what he doesn't intend to say.
Well,
it's a very dangerous thing for the Home Minister.
No, if it got construed that way, he says, you know, I've said something, if it's been construed that way, well, I express regret. So what is the problem?
Except, forgive me, it's not simply a question of being construed. His original words were, and I'm quoting, Bharatiya Janata Party ho ya RSS ho, उनके जो ट्रेनिंग कैंप्स हैं वो हिंदू टेररिज्म बढ़ाने का काम देख रहे हैं. There's no construction there. He clearly said it.
No, he said this. That's why I'm saying. That's why he said my statement did not mean. I did not mean, though I've said it. He didn't deny he said it. He said that this is not charged at any political organization.
So then, in a sense, you're proving my words. A, you're saying he said it. B, you're saying he didn't mean what he said. And so I'm saying to you, you have a Home Minister who says things he doesn't mean to say.
This is over and done with. What point are we trying to make? Really, there's no point to be made here.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's very dangerous if the Home Minister of the day doesn't mean what he says, or worse still, doesn't know what he's saying.
No, that's not correct. Anybody in giving a speech sometimes says this or that, and when the full import of that is understood, it can happen to you, it can happen to me, it happens to so many political people who are speaking.
Let's for a moment accept that he made a genuine mistake. People can make mistakes even if they're Home Ministers. Why did it take him almost a month to correct it? Why didn't he immediately issue a clarification and say, sorry, I got it wrong?
Well, there is a timing for everything. There is a moment for everything. And it happened. The very fact that it happened, it's over. Now you say, why did he issue it on a Friday and not on a Thursday?
No, I'll tell you.
There's no end to it.
I'll tell you what you're really saying when you say there's a timing for everything. Pressure had to build to the point at which Mr. Shinde was forced to concede. In other words, he thought he could get away with it, and then he discovered that Parliament was going to suffer, his government wasn't standing behind him, and so he had to buckle.
I think his intention to correct it was always there, and that point of time was chosen. Finished.
If it was always there, it took 30 days to happen.
So what if it took 30 days? It's happened.
It happens.
I mean, what heaven has fallen that it has taken 30 days? It should be a BJP's point, not your point.
I'll tell you why I ask. Because I ask if this is genuine contrition or whether it's a convenient statement made under pressure to ensure that Parliament functions smoothly. And it looks very much as if it's the latter, not the former.
It could be either. The thing is that the matter
It could be either. You're saying so.
I'm saying whichever way you want to construe it, please do so. The question is, the matter is over on this subject and Parliament is functioning without this being an issue.
Well, it's interesting that you say A, it could be either, and B, that the matter is over, because your own party's official spokesman, Mr. P.C. Chacko, has said formally to the Times of India on Friday that Mr. Shinde's Hindu terror comment was not factually incorrect, and then he adds he was speaking on the basis of some facts. So is this double speak?
Well, I think that what Mr. Chacko said and what Mr. Shinde said are things of the past. Now, Mr. Chacko has given his own opinion. Mr. Chacko has given his own opinion. He's made that statement, fine, so be it. What does it matter?
Except that he's your party's official spokesman and he's saying something that the Home Minister has just decided is no longer the case. And Mr. Chacko is contradicting him.
No, that's not correct. He's saying political organization. The words used are political organization. That's it.
So in other words, you're backing away from associating the BJP and the RSS with terror training camps, but you're not backing away from the phrase Hindu terror. That's clearly implicit in what Mr. Chacko says.
No, it was, BJP was saying that this is an accusation against the BJP. And he said that this was not directed at the BJP. That's some substance of the statement.
But don't you think Mr. Chacko has at the mildest muddied the waters? At the worst, he's either contradicting the Home Minister or at least he's taunting the BJP.
I don't think so, because he's saying, Mr. Shinde said, no political organization, if they are hurt, I express regret. End of matter.
All right, here's another interpretation. The left hand of the Congress party doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
So every hand of the Congress party, the left knows what the right is doing, the right knows what the left is doing. Just because of
this. They just don't talk to each other.
No, of course they talk to each other. But then I think it's not such a big deal.
All right, my last question on Mr. Shinde. After his clarification and his expression of regret, is he a bigger man for admitting his mistake, or has this incident diminished the Home Minister?
Well, I think it's neither big nor small. These things happen. And you don't become bigger and smaller. You don't lose this or you don't gain that. That's the end of the matter. Now, it depends who wants to perceive it. Everybody will perceive it differently. It depends in the eyes of the person who's perceiving it.
Has Mr. Shinde's standing and utility shrunk in the eyes of his colleagues in cabinet and the Prime Minister?
Certainly not. Certainly not.
You're sure of that?
Why should it? These things happen to all of us.
I can't think of too many other ministers who've had to apologize in the last 8 years.
Well, they have expressed regret so many times. This is
Not
happened.
after asking the person to whom they're expressing regret to approve the regret before they do it.
No, that's not it. It's not that they approve it. You consult and you say, okay, what are the context? What's the content you want?
When did Kamal Nath last have to say publicly, I'm sorry to the BJP?
I am not everybody. And I may not have said so. I have not made such a comment. I have not had to say sorry or express regret.
Okay, let's come to another flashpoint on your parliamentary horizon. The left parties are demanding that Professor Kurian resign as Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha because of questions that have been revived regarding allegations of his involvement in the Suryanelli rape case. Worse still, Sitaram Yechuri has confirmed to me this morning, Saturday, that the left will boycott any sitting of the Rajya Sabha presided over by Mr. Kurian. How are you going to handle this?
What is the case? What year does it relate to? Which governments have, how many inquiries and investigations have exonerated him? You cannot play out Kerala politics in the Parliament of India. This is 16 years old, am I right? Is it 16 years old?
It goes back to 1996.
It is 16 years old. That means it's 17 years according to you now. Okay. Suddenly, 17 years later, when the High Court, when two investigations carried out by an opposing government, by the government of the leftists, who are now the accusers, have exonerated him. Now they spring this up. Does this make any sense?
I hear what you're saying, but the corollary is that you're also saying to me that I, Kamal Nath, as Parliamentary Affairs Minister, don't care if the left boycotts sittings of the Rajya Sabha presided by Kurian.
If any party says that, please remove this person because we want to break up a 17-year-old case where somebody's been exonerated. How many parties are with the leftist on this? Other political...
So you're happy for the left to boycott sittings of the Rajya Sabha?
Anybody can boycott it on any issue. If I say I do not like Karan Thapar's face and if he's going to come on television, I'm going to boycott Parliament. Am I going to accept that?
So you're not going to accept the left demand?
I am not going to accept anyone that we are going to boycott. If you want to boycott, it's your house. It's not my house.
For many people, the critical issue is this. Is it fitting for Mr. Kurian, who could any day actually now face an FIR as well, to preside in the Rajya Sabha over a debate over the government's proposed rape bill? Wouldn't that be an embarrassment for Parliament?
After 17 years, somebody rakes this up. When the High Courts have held it twice, two investigations by an opposing government have held it. And are you talking of what?
I'm no longer talking about the demand to resign. I'm simply asking a different question. When the House, the Rajya Sabha, discusses the rape bill, should Mr. Kurian recuse himself from presiding over the House?
Why should he? When he's been exonerated. He's a classic case of having been exonerated.
So he will preside over the rape debate in the Rajya Sabha?
Well, if he's in the chair, he'll preside. Why not?
You don't think this is an issue of ethics and propriety? You don't think this is an issue of sending the correct message for women in India?
After 17 years, if somebody comes up with a charge like this, where investigations have been carried out, courts have pronounced judgments, and you say, is this not a right charge?
I put it like this. Is Sonia Gandhi's party on an issue of ethics and propriety going to allow a man who is possibly charged with an FIR on rape?
This is not an issue of ethics and propriety. Please don't say that. It's completely, I think, wrong and inaccurate and false to say this is an issue of ethics and propriety.
So you have no compunction on this whatsoever?
When you have been exonerated. When you have been exonerated, today all the people who've been exonerated in the last 17 years, should we hold them up?
In which case, let's take a break at that point. When I come back, I'm going to ask you whether the Augusta Western controversy and the rape ordinance could cause problems for you in Parliament. That's in a moment's time. See you after this. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and a special interview with the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Kamal Nath. Minister, another big issue which could cause problems for you in Parliament is the Augusta Westland controversy. You've offered any type of debate the opposition wants. You've even suggested they can have a joint parliamentary commission. But that hasn't impressed Arun Jaitley. So what more can you offer the BJP to ensure they don't hold up Parliament?
I have offered any kind of inquiry or investigation, which also includes the JPC. I said as long we can arrive at a political consensus. Today is just not the BJP who's in Parliament. Let's recognize that. You have the Samajwadi, you have the BSP, you have the leftists, you have so many parties. Now, I have said so in my meetings with them. I have said so publicly that we are willing to have any inquiry which you want.
Except for the fact that Arun Jaitley has turned around and said publicly that what he wants the government to do is to take credible, visible, discernible steps to identify the bribe takers. How do you handle that?
We are doing that. We have the CBI. You say CBI is not enough. Well, please suggest how we should do it.
I'll tell you why the steps you're taking don't look credible to the BJP, because although the Defence Ministry in its statement has indicated that they instituted an inquiry within 24 hours of the first reports of alleged bribery, you know and I know that credible steps like issuing show-cause notices to Augusta Westland didn't happen for a whole year. So all the measures that the ministry took till February were vague, unconvincing and weak.
They're absolutely false. There has to be a cause of action. There has to be facts. There's got to be evidence. The moment this came to light, the government acted, gave it to the CBI. The CBI's team is there. What more can you do? I'd like to know what more can we do?
I'll tell you, even though you say the CBI's team is there, even though Finmeccanica itself has assured the government of cooperation, the Italian government is refusing to meet the CBI team, and they've made it crystal clear that they will not share any documents with India until their legal process is over. So as far as the government-to-government transaction is concerned, you've hit a brick wall.
They have their Italian laws. Number two, they want to make sure that in any way, which information which they give doesn't scuttle their own investigation.
Which is why Arun Jaitley is unhappy, because he says that...
So what should we do?
Well, you have to meet him and ask him what he wants.
I've asked them, and we're going to discuss this on the floor of Parliament, and it's going to be publicly. I'm asking all political parties.
So you're saying to me that Arun Jaitley has come around to believing that you've done everything you could?
I do not know. When this is discussed in Parliament, I want everybody to say.
So you're confident this will be discussed and that the BJP will permit the House to function?
I have offered a discussion when they want, for how long they want. I've offered them an inquiry of any kind. And what more can you do?
You're saying you've done everything you can, you don't think this should be a stumbling block?
When there is consensus, when we both are talking the same thing.
All right. You may be right. Time alone will tell whether the BJP accepts your position or not. They're going to keep up a bluff till the last moment. Let's come to a second issue. The government needs to get its rape ordinance converted into a rape bill, and parliamentary procedures require that this happens within 6 weeks of the start of the session. But because Parliament is going to go into recess on the 22nd of March, you actually have only 4 weeks. Is that too short for you to get a rape bill passed in both houses?
I don't think so. This is decided by the Business Advisory Committee, which consists of all political parties. And every political party is attaching the highest importance to this.
Except for the fact that several parties and many from within the BJP are demanding that the bill should be sent to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. If that happens, the bill will be delayed and the ordinance will lapse.
I can only follow the rules. I can follow the direction of the speakers. There are rules of what will go to the Standing Committee. Now, if the speaker gets the sense of the House that this need not go to the Standing Committee, it won't go. I think all political parties must arrive at a consensus that it should not go to any committee. But it's for them.
Are you, Kamal Nath, as Parliamentary Affairs Minister, trying to achieve that consensus? And
I am.
Sure you are.
I have said that we should not send it to the... I'm saying this again, that we should not. We should pass this bill as soon as we can.
Are you confident the BJP will support that? Because that's the critical party when it comes to creating a sense of...
Well, that's what they've told me.
They've told you. The BJP has actually given you an assurance that they are happy for the rape bill not to go to the Parliamentary Standing Committee.
They have said we want to pass it as fast as possible, and we should try and arrive at a consensus that it doesn't go to any standing committee.
All right, one last question. You have 72 bills, according to the papers, waiting to be passed. I want to ask you just about two. Pension and insurance. They've been hanging fire for years. Will they be passed this time around?
My effort is to have them passed. I think we are heading towards a convergence. When we arrive at that convergence, we'll have it passed.
You said something very similar when I interviewed you before the start of the winter session. You were confident then too, and it didn't happen. So let me repeat. Are you really confident that pension insurance will be passed, or are you simply saying this because you have to?
I am confident that we are heading towards convergence. Now, there must be convergence for it to pass. For me to imagine or to force a convergence is not possible.
Suddenly, the minister in front of me has become a diplomat. I am confident
not a
we
diplomat.
are heading towards convergence. Beautifully chosen language that could beat anything. I'll let you have the last word. A pleasure talking to you.